Cypher Vidionics, a preferred supplier to Synthetica, the DHIQC case study company, has also sponsored one of their young quality engineers, Mike Howard, to study for the CQI Diploma in Quality Management. Mike has just carried out an assignment for Unit 505, Business Performance Improvement. In doing so, he's made what seems to be a shocking discovery regarding the cost of poor quality. The results were so dramatic that he was invited to make a presentation of his findings to the Board of Directors before submitting to DHIQC for marking. We see Mike now about to present to three of the directors. On the left is Ian Burgess, the Technical Director. In the centre, Vernon Wagstaff, the CEO. And on the right, Mel Shaw, Finance Director and Company Secretary. My Unit 505 project required me to obtain an estimate of the cost of poor quality. The study materials suggested that it would be in the order of 30% sales revenue. I found that very hard to believe.
I am not surprised. If our quality-related costs were anything like that, we would be out of business.
Out of interest, Mr. Shaw, what do you think it is?
I reckon around 1%, possibly 2% of sales. But I would not go higher than that. 30% is plainly ridiculous. How much did your course cost?
Wait till you see what I discovered. In the course notes we were provided with, it showed that every factory or office could be imagined to be two factories or offices, as you'll see in this diagram. The small factory only produces perfect products or services. Perfect raw materials go in, and perfect products come out. There are no incoming material stocks, no work in progress other than what is being processed, and no finished goods stock. No hold-ups, hiccups or delays of any kind, a sort of unreal utopia. The larger factory in the diagram is exactly the opposite. It only produces scrap. In addition, it has unreliable suppliers, so it keeps large stocks of incoming materials. There is a lot of obsolete stock due to unscheduled design changes, high labour turnover, hold-ups, hiccups and delays, plus a large finished goods warehouse. How much floor area does it need to process all that waste? How much machine time? How much labour? Put these two businesses together, and this is where David Hutchins gets his idea of 30% plus.
Okay, I can see that, but that does not mean we can do anything about it. Everyone suffers those things and everyone tries to reduce them.
Yes, that is true to some extent, but David Hutchins argues that it's usually excessive, and when challenged can be halved in less than 3 years. He claims to have achieved it on many occasions.
Does he say how?
Yes, he gives a lot of examples, but he says the first thing you must do is to obtain an estimate of your quality-related costs.
That's easy. They will be in the profit and loss account.
David Hutchins says that's the point. Most of them are not. They are more likely to be hidden, just as in the case of the hidden factory we just looked at. Let me show you. Here's a copy of part of a profit and loss account, right? Okay, in this first column is forecast sales for January. Where do those figures come from?
Well, the sales department, of course.
Okay, now here are the figures for the direct cost of sales. Where do they come from?
Well, usually we extrapolate them from historical data.
Exactly so. Now let's take this figure here and compare it with the projected sales this month. According to the figures, we expect to sell £30,000 worth of Vidionic TX10. Okay, and here it says that in order to do that, direct labour is estimated to be £20,000, machine time £1,000 and material costs £3,000, making a total of £24,000. This, plus fixed costs of £2,000, making a total of £26,000, therefore a net profit of 13%. These were the estimated costs at the end of the month. If we find that actual costs are almost identical, we say no cost variance. But hidden in these figures are the hidden costs we mentioned in the hidden factory concept. Rework, downtime, hold-ups and delays, floor space for work in progress, finished goods stocks, plus labour to produce the waste. Let's say it's 20%. Because there are no cost variances, it rings no alarm bells and we don't notice it. This is why it is the hidden cost. It goes on month after month, year after year. Now supposing there is a cost variance, and for some reason the variable costs jump up. Then we say, what went wrong? An investigation takes place, the cause is found and dealt with, and life returns to normal, but the process continues to make 20% waste. We can call the variances sporadic problems. We do not know when or where they will happen, how bad they will be, and we spend a lot of time dealing with these, and we call it firefighting. David Hutchins says we have to attempt to isolate the hidden costs and get an estimate of their value. Do not try to calculate them precisely, because if we do, the cures might well cost more than the disease. We can use the Pareto chart to prioritize them. This is another tool we have learned on the course. Clearly, we should concentrate on the big ones first. If you look at this diagram, created originally by Dr. Duran, you can see the two types of problem. The hidden costs are below the average performance line, and variances are represented by the sporadic spike. We have to deal with the sporadic problems. We call it firefighting. However, even when we've solved them, the process continues to be 20% inefficient. Each hidden cost problem resolved results in improvements to overall performance.
Well, it all seems very logical to me, but it would cost a fortune to involve all those managers, specialists and workers in dealing with that.
Also, we would not get anything else done. Everyone would be working on problems.
Let me show you what I came up with in my report. I estimated that our current sales are 100 million and that the total capital employed, which I got from last year's annual report, is 50 million and net profit is 10 million. Is that right?
Yes, that is about right.
Supposing you wanted to double annual profit to say 20 million. Normally we would have to double sales. Since we are running close to capacity right now, it would require capital investment of somewhere in the region of £50 million in order to double profit, yeah?
Yes, I would agree with that. What do you think, Mel?
Yes, it is about right.
Now, let's suppose that David Hutchins is right. Our quality-related costs would be in the order of 30% sales. Suppose that's an exaggeration, and for prudence sake we say it's 20%, which is 20 million. If we can, as David Hutchins claims, halve quality-related costs by 50% in 3 years, that is a saving of 10 million, which is exactly the amount required to double profit without having to double sales. But what will it cost? David Hutchins claims that the cost has never come to anywhere near 10% of the savings, but let's for argument's sake say that it is. That means that to double profit by project improvement will cost just 1 million against 50 million of investment if we did it by attempting to do it by growth. However, we're likely to increase sales as well. Many of the improvements will increase productivity, and experience shows that those companies that choose this approach usually increase sales significantly too. Company A in this diagram has managed to reduce its quality-related costs to a minimum. Its high levels of quality and predictability are obvious to the marketplace. People will often pay higher prices for these, so it can charge premium prices, so it wins both ways, lower cost and higher profit through sales. Company B, on the other hand, not only carries all the excess cost of poor quality, but is forced to undercut Company A just to stay in business. If Company A decided to reduce its prices below that of Company B, that could be the end of Company B.
Well, Mike, that was extremely interesting. I would like a copy of your report if I may to study it further. Also, I would like to set up a small team and I would include you in it. And under the leadership of Ian Burgess here to verify your figures, and, if they make sense, to create a plan to roll this out through the organization. Very well done and thank you. Best of luck with the rest of the course.
Seems like this course was good value after all. Maybe we all ought to sign up for it. Ask Ann Black, the training officer, to call me.